Max at HappyVikingGames. Go to open some intro packs for Gatecrash today. Look at what we have here. Alright, let's go ahead and open Simic first, since that seems to be the most interesting. Each of these comes with the pre-con starter deck, and it looks like it has some packs in here too, which is really cool. We get to see some random cards. Get to look at the new set. I'm going to move these out of the way so we can have some room to look at some awesome cards in this new set. Okay, nice blue background, that's kind of cool, I guess. That's our deck. Two cool packs. Let's see what's this. Probably just nonsense information, but it's always cool to see what things they throw in the booster boxes. Okay, so it's a breakdown of how to play and like the rules and the steps and the processes. It even has a glossary. It's kind of much for someone who's probably just learning to play, but and just some more blurb advertisements for Rules of the Planeswalker. It's like won't look at that anymore after that. Okay, let's see what we have in this deck here. Ooh, silly stuff. Here's the main card of the deck. Looks like it's the Fathom Mage. That's the card they're promoting for Simic. Has the symbol, obviously in the colors. Lets you draw a lot of cards, which is really cool. Shamble Shark is a nice aggressive card for this deck. Splash and evolves. Evolve is the new keyword for Simic, which is really cool, actually. It's pretty interesting and limited. I mean, from the pre-release, I know some of the cards were very tedious to remove and very hard to play around depending on how big they got if you couldn't answer them quickly. It's a very interesting mechanic. And 13 cards in here, that's interesting. I guess I've never cracked a pre-con before, so interesting to see them merge the sets. Cloudfin Raptor is a really cool card. That's the flying one-drop that evolves when you play bigger creatures. So I think they can just fly and get bigger as time goes on. It starts on turn 1 is just really, it's really threatening if used correctly and not answered. So that guy really is pretty beefy. This is the Guild Mage for the deck. Blue-green Guild Mage lets you move counters around, creates counters, draw cards, everything you really want in the colors of blue and green, counters and drawing cards. Great stuff. This is one of the best commons in the set from what I found in my pre-release experience, the Frilled Oculus here. Let's get a close look at that. Right there. He's a lot like Dark Thicket Wolf from Innistrad, just that well, he's a 1/3 at least for 2-drop, and for 2 mana you can pump him and give him +2/+2. Just makes him really beefy when you have excess mana you don't need to use, which is really cool. This is a really cool card for this already pretty powerful deck. Alright, let's see what else they put in here. Typical just flying creatures. This one has trample, but only has 1 toughness. Interesting, just a flyer. A reach blocker with evolve, which is cool. The most annoying evolve card, which is the most powerful ones actually, is the unblockable 0/4. Very good, and like I said, if you can't deal with him pretty immediately after he evolves once or twice, he gets pretty hard to kill unless you have a straight kill spell, which is pretty hard and limited unless you're certain colors. I know, it's like as a Boros player, it's very hard to deal with that if you don't have if you don't have the exile card or some of the other there's like actually not many other ones because you can't block him, so you can't just remove him with the 1 card. So yeah, he's really good because he's unblockable. Let's put him here to get a little look at here. Another really powerful card in the set is this guy. He gives each creature with a +1/+1 counter trample. Since all your guys are already evolving and limited, if you just get that guy, you just kind of make everything a lot more scary on the field. He definitely adds a lot of presence. It's a very powerful card. Let's play this up. Fathom Mage close up in case anyone hasn't seen it. Can't really read it, but it does just every time it evolves, it draws a card. It comes in at 4 for 2 and blue and a green. It's a 1/1. It's always going to evolve, and every time you evolve with it, you draw a card. So it lets you fill your hand up pretty fast. I mean, you might think it's kind of slow, but when you actually play with it, if you have the right field and you just start playing after that, you really constantly just fill up. Let's see here. A lot of the art in this set is pretty interesting. Some of it's pretty hit or miss, and some of it's really cool. Have a Guild Gate in the deck. It's like, is there only one for the deck? Really cool card. I mean, the Guild Gates are really awesome because they really help you with the mana fixing, so it's really important in Limited. I realize we're looking at precons here, but it's still good to know about the cards here since the mana fixing is everything. After that, we have Ivy Leaf Denizen. Alright, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Oh, it's this guy. This guy works really well with Fathom Mage here. Because whenever a green creature you enter the play, you get to put a 1/1 counter on thing. So you can trigger Evolve, and you can also just trigger this, and you can put 2 counters on there if you trigger it correctly, and you can just draw 2 cards. This works with other creatures that have Evolve, or just creatures in general. He doesn't just have to be strictly Simic. He can work in Gruul, he can work in anything that's playing green, really. Just a really good effect on a common, nonetheless. 5 mana, 6/2 Evolve. Kind of scary, but can be dealt with easily enough, but if you play a couple more guys, he's pretty big. That's the thing with Evolve. It gets scary as time goes on. A 4 mana 5/5 that returns to its hand every time it deals damage. Not really sure what I think of that card. It's interesting, because even if you block with it, it goes back to your hand, so yeah, it's interesting. Illusions. Illusions always have interesting niche effects like that, with either can't be targeted, or target and they die, or revolving around the creatures you do control and don't control. One of the best draw cards in the set is the Urban Evolution. It lets you draw 3 cards and you get to play an additional land this turn for 5. Sorcery speed, of course, because it involves the land effect, but it is actually very powerful. Since this deck is already all about evolving, making bigger guys, and drawing, you get the traditional effects of blue, which is drawing cards, and you get the traditional green effect of ramping by playing more lands. Turn 5, I mean, you might think it's a little slow there, but it does get you a little bit farther ahead in the game there. Or if you can even ramp into it earlier somehow, I mean, that's even better. Then you're just going farther than you originally thought. I haven't seen this card. This card's really interesting. Sapphire Drake, flying 4/4, and each creature with a +1/+1 counter has flying. That does wonders for everything you have with Evolve in this deck. Everything just gets flying, just makes everything much more harder to deal with, unless you push more damage through rather quickly. Merfolk finally make a return to this set, as being the secret masterminds behind Simic. This particular Merfolk has Flash. 4/2, no Evolve, but you can still drop him in at the end of the turn and just have a 4/2 there, which is kind of interesting, or just have a surprise blocker. Typical work with Flash. Here's Forest. It's a cool card. Here's our basic lands. Just gotta get through these to see what else we have here if we crack some packs. Ah, there's more things than I thought. Okay. Forced Adaptation. Enchantment. Put a 1/1 counter on enchanted creature at the beginning of your upkeep. Seems pretty good with Fathom Mage. Draw a card every turn. I like draw card effects. Bioshift is another card that works great with Fathom Mage because you just move your counters around as you choose. That can be interesting in blocking situations where you have other evolved creatures and one of them's blocked and you just want to push some damage through real quick, or kill someone, or kill something else. Just move all the counters to something they're not expecting it. Just your typical combat tricks, and can be used reflexively with, of course, the Fathom Mage, which is the point of this deck. Another one of those. Not exactly a fog card, but pretty much a help you block card, giving you +5 in the rear for your toughness, and giving all your creatures flying, or reach, sorry, so they can block flyers. It's an attempt to let you try and fog someone. Interesting card. The name Tower Defense is actually really cool. I'm sure there's many people who play Tower Defense games who love them. I know I do. Unexpected Results is a rare. It's a really interesting card. Reminds me of a lot of older Magic cards. Just shuffle your library and reveal the top part of your deck, and it's a non-land card, you can play it, and put it in play. But if it's a land card, you always have the option of returning it to your hand, or just putting the land in play if you want. Really interesting rare. Some more M13 cards. Ooh, here's the Keyrune. Simic Keyrune. 2/3 toughness, blue crap artifact when you animate it, and it has hexproof, which is really, really cool. It's something. Keyrunes already have enough evasion because they de-animate at the end of the turn, so they're hard to deal with, but making it so that you can't do tricks to it when you do animate it, like they can't target it, is also really cool, because it just makes it that much harder to deal with, so these are really cool. And the last Gatecrash card we have in this pre-con is Hindervines, an actual fog for decks that would not have +1/+1 counters on them. So, unless you're playing something that's close to a mirror match, it's probably going to be a fog for you. And unless you have the ability to block with your guys who do have +1/+1 counters, and they will deal the damage, hopefully killing some of the creatures. It allows you many different possibilities. Let's see what we got in the packs. There. Gatecrash pack. Oculus, Clan Charger, Daring Skyjack, Nation Worm, Shattering Blow, Last Thoughts, the Gruul Guildgate, Port Street Denizen, Naturalize. Oh, a new Naturalize art. This one's actually really pretty. Armor Transport, the Boros Guildmage, Rabid Hybridization, the Dimir Guildmage, which is really cool. And our rare is Ooze Flux, which actually works with our deck. So let's look at our rare. Ooze Flux. Remove one or more +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. Put an XX green Ooze creature token on the battlefield where X is the number of counters you removed. So I guess it lets you keep evolving things. As long as if you remove all the counters for something you can evolve, you just constantly make oozes to block or attack with. It just gives you more outs, more creatures, more things to pump, more things to work with. It's a really interesting card. It's kind of niche though, but it is interesting. Really cool card to look at here are the Guildmage. Guildmages. We've already looked at Frilled Oculus. I think he's one of the better cards, but since we're looking at our deck here, we'll just look at these other ones, because we'll be looking at the other decks as well. We'll worry about the keywords for the other cards later. Boros Guildmage. Gives all creatures you control +1. That's O. At the end of turn. It's really good when you have a bunch of guys out and you can swarm them and you can push a lot of damage through. And in the second ability for 4 mana lets you make a 1/1 token that has haste, so you could just keep making guys and eventually overrun them. The two abilities work really well together. Duskmantle Guildmage. It's a really interesting card. It has some interesting abilities outside of limited and standard. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere this turn, they lose 1 life. So if you make them, it works with the ability of Dimir being like somewhat of a deck that mills the opponent's cards from their deck, or discards cards from their hand. It's interesting to see them do that. And then the second ability for 4 mana is to put the top 2 cards of his or her library into a graveyard. So if you have 7 mana, you can definitely activate the first ability, and then do the second, and they would lose 2 life. And possibly mill some good cards. One of the really cool uncommons in this set is Rabid Hybridization. It destroys a creature for blue, which is an interesting ability because blue doesn't normally have things that just flat out destroy creatures. But, because it does that, it gives them a 3/3 Frog Lizard. But I don't know about you, but Frog Lizard sounds pretty scary. It has, it's just a blank 3/3. So basically this card lets you kill a card that has, like a Guildmage or anything that has an effect, and they just get a vanilla 3/3 that now has no effect. You don't get to remove the creature completely, but you at least are pacifying any abilities that could be dangerous. Or you could even do it to one of your creatures if you just want a bigger body. Alright, let's see what we get in the next pack. Contaminated Ground, Greenside Watcher, Way of the Thief, Beckon Apparition, Drake-Wing Krasis, another one of the 3/1 flyers, Sky Games, that just sounds cool, Slate Street Ruffian, the Orzhov Syndicate, Adapted Snapjaw, another card we've already seen, Bomber Corps, Call of the Nightwing, which is a really good card for Dimir, Ripscale Predator, Miming Slime, and Assemble the Legion is our rare. Let's see. Talk about the cards that are relevant to us. First up, we'll look at our rare. Assemble the Legion. At the beginning of your upkeep every turn, you put a muster counter on this card, and then make 1/1s equal to the muster counters on it. This is a very interesting card. If it's not dealt with, you can quickly overrun your opponent because these 1/1s don't go away, if I'm not mistaken. They do not go away. They have haste, and you can attack with them the turn they come and play. But every turn you get one more, so it's just like one turn it's 1, turn 2 it's 2, turn 3 it's 3 after it's played, etc., etc. Really lets you get a position on the opponent fast. Very interesting card. Next, we have our green card in the pack, Greenside Watcher. Not really a fan of this guy, but he doesn't tap gate, so it does give you an ability to kind of be like an Arbor Elf, but gates are kind of slow anyway, so this card is very centered around being unlimited, so you want to get a lot of good gates with him to get some mana ramping advantage. Interesting enough card, though. One of our uncommons is the Miming Slime. Put an XX green ooze creature and token on the battlefield where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. If you have a big enough evolved creature out there, you have a pretty big creature, and just for 3 mana you can just copy something. You just get an XX Slime token, ooze, that'll be as big as whatever creature you have, so you at least have 2 of them now. Way of the Thief is our second card up. It's a blue card, gives a creature +2/+2 for 4 mana, but also has the added ability of being unblockable if you control a gate. Which is why gates are really important in any limited environment, because they always have added other effects with other cards. Last up is Call of the Nightwing. It has the Dimir keyword on its cipher, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it does put a 1/1 black-blue flying creature on the battlefield. It has the ability that every time you can deal damage with a creature that's ciphered onto to copy this effect. So it does give you ability to have lots and lots of little 1/1s that you can block or have more aggressive attacks with. Very interesting. Alright, that sums up Simic. Let's go to Boros now, something I'm more familiar with. You are a Planeswalker, Boros Battalion. Nice red background, so we don't want you to be confused on what your deck is. Open. 2 packs and useless information packlets. Since we've already looked at them, we don't want to look at them again. So our 2 packs will open later, and our deck. Let's see what we got this time. Ooh, the card's damaged, that's never good. The main rare of this deck is the Foundry Champion. The Foundry Champion, when played, lets you deal damage to target creature or player equal to the number of creatures you control, and has the ability to pump his either attack or his defense for red or white mana. Very powerful card indeed. Cost 6. Wants you to have lots of little guys out, so when you play him, you could deal a devastating blow to something. And as you can see, if you look close, well, maybe you can't see, but it is damage, which is kind of unfortunate. Boros Elite, it's really good uncommon. Really good uncommon for this deck. Bomber Corps, Battalion, that's their trigger word for the Boros Guild. Battalion, of course, is when you attack with 3 or more creatures, they get an added effect that you get to activate at that point. Cards like Boros Elite and Bomber Corps here Boros Legion will get +2/+2, so it'll become a 3/3 for 1 mana. And Bomber Corpse will, of course, deal 1 damage to target creature or player, which can eliminate a blocker or help make blocking harder by dealing damage to something, forcing them to make a hard decision, or just dealing damage to their face. It's all really cool. Firefish Striker, another battalion card. The Skyjack, very good battalion card. Upside Down Guild Mage. The Guild Mage is amazing, so you already know that. Bojack Halberders. This guy's really cool. Ember Beast, Warmind Infantry, Denizen, Sky Knight Legionnaire, which was reprinted from the original Ravnica, the flying 2/2 with haste, 3. Really good card, really helps to trigger battalion on time. All cards in haste in general help that. 13 and 13 cards. Firemaiden Avenger, a really, really good rare with battalion. This card lets you deal 3 damage when you trigger the battalion effect and gains you 3 life to either target creature or player. Lightning Helix on a stick on a creature like that is really powerful. If you can manage to keep 3 creatures out and continuously trigger that effect, I don't see how you lose that game. Because it's a 6 swing by gaining 3 and then losing 3, it's really powerful. Orderune Veteran, battalion guy with double strike. The Fortress Cyclops, who, whether he's attacking or blocking, gets bigger in the respective way. Our Guildgate, lots of plains and mountains, which you'd expect for a deck like this. Mugging, a very interesting card. Sorcery Speed deals 2 damage to target creature for 1, and that creature can't block this turn. Pretty good for either killing something or just trying to win the game and push more damage through. Just gets you advantage like that. Very interesting card in Limited. Mark for Death. Target creature an opponent controls blocks with Able. Tap that creature. Other creatures that player controls this turn can't block this turn. So basically, lets you choose them being able to block with only 1 creature, which is really good if you have a bunch of guys out. And almost lets you swing with everybody and get through. So 1 creature will have to block. Nothing else gets to. Just like Boros has some of its basic tricks again. Arrows of Justice. If you look at this card. Really good removal spell. 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Like I was saying with the evolved guys, Boros has a problem with them because Boros doesn't seem to have many outright just kill a creature spell. So you have to do damage, and if the evolved guy keeps getting bigger and bigger, it's really hard to get him killed. Shielded Passage, which lets you prevent all damage that is dealt to target creature this turn. A really cool card. Just typical tricks. +1, flying and first strike. Combat trick for 2. Act of Treason comes back. New art. I'm not sure how I feel about that art. Just typical gain control of target creature, untap it, and gain haste. Only good to push some more damage through. Righteous Charge. A card that gives all your creatures +2/+2, but it's sorcery speed. It's a really good card. It's really scary when you play it, and they have a little bit of time to react to it, but they know something painful is coming. And our final card is the Key Rune for Boros. Boros Key Rune becomes a 1/1 red and white artifact soldier with double strike till end of turn. That's really good if you have a pump spell for that. If you could somehow give him a pump and having double strike on that, you could just get a lot of damage through. Or just have a blocker that can deal with 2 power things. Let's see. Alright. Let's talk about the Hobbiters right before we go, because these are the last 2 cards I didn't get to go to. Whenever Hobbiters and at least 2 other creatures attack, triggering Battalion, gains first strike at the end of the turn. It's a 3/2 for 2, which is already by itself really good, and the Battalion effect is just icing on the cake. Great card. Firefish Striker. I won a couple games with this guy because as soon as he triggers Battalion, he just says that target creature cannot block, and that really does a lot to an opponent when they're just trying to survive. on to the packs. Way of the Thief, Street Market, Beautiful Thrall, Coffin Raptor. Ooh, we have a foil. Primal Visitation, Kingpin's Pet, interesting name. Ivy Leaf Denizen, Guildscorn Ward, Clinging Amoebas, 1,000 Lashes, Cartel Aristocrat, Crown Caterhawk, Merciless Eviction. Ooh, and we got a foil rare. And typical token and land. Let's look at our rares here, see what cards we got. We've already seen this guy. This card is really good. I don't want to talk about it, even though we haven't done Orzhov yet. There's the Orzhov card. Seen this one. And this one. This card's really beefy. Defender, Evolved Defender. Man, much like this. Primal Visitation, Gruul card. 5 mana, enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and haste. I don't know what world you're in that you're getting to play that and getting the haste benefit out of it. I mean, I guess you could with like a small drop creature, but the +3/+3 is the real deal. That makes something a lot harder and a lot bigger to kill. Merciless Eviction. Very interesting rare. Lets you choose one. You get to exile all creatures, all artifacts, or all planeswalkers. So whatever your opponent controls that you don't like, while it will get your cards too, but you have to make that decision, you can get anything, except for enchantments. But it's really, really good for 6 mana. Orzhov card. Foil rare, Ogre Slumlord. Whenever another creature dies, you get to make a 1/1 black rat token. It's a really interesting card. It makes you some little guys here. Makes me think of Pack Rat from last set, which was a nightmarish card. But no dice on that. 1,000 Lashes. This card basically arrests a card unless you can't block, you can't attack, you can't activate any abilities from it, and at the start of each of their upkeeps, they lose a life. This card is really good for that, and limited. It just locks the guy out and slowly drains them. It's a really, really good enchantment. Alright, let's see here. Our second super cool pack. Contaminated Ground, Greenside Watcher, Way of the Thief, another Primal Visitation, Death Cult Rogue, Ember Beast, Sky Games, Slate Street Ruffian, another Orzhov Guildgate, this guy, the Unblockable Green Man, Simic Combine, ooh, Guardian of the Gateless, and a rare we've already seen, Firemane Avenger, but that's okay. It's the rare that came in our deck. Guardian of the Gateless. Let's see, Death Cult Rogue. Talk about these guys. Dimir seems to have a lot of guys who like to be unblockable or have interesting effects around milling, but this one happens to be only able to be blocked by rogues, which is almost considered unblockable. There are definitely rogues, but they are very sparse and in similar colors, so for the most of the time that guy will be pretty much unblockable. Now here's a very interesting uncommon, Guardian of the Gateless. Lets you block any amount of creatures with this angel for 5 mana, 3/3. But for every creature it blocks, it gets +1/+1. So if you can just find a way to have that guy out and prevent any damage dealt to him with like that card I showed earlier, you can kill a bunch of their guys, your guy will live, and you will definitely change the board state. It's a really powerful card. Alright, let's see, what do we got here? Dimir, Orzhov, and Gruul. We'll go to Orzhov. Deck all about removal.
I think you might be able to play a control deck with just a Central Legion. Like, that would work.
Ta-da! Our 2 packs and the deck. Alright, our rare is the Treasury Troll. Whenever this guy attacks, he gets to return a creature, an artifact, or is it enchantment? Enchantment from the graveyard to your hand. Orzhov is all about extorting, which is their keyword. They will like to drain and just basically grind out the advantage as best they can. Recursion like this definitely helps you in that point to maintain and stabilize. For 6 mana for a 4/4, it's not the best, but that ability does have some merit. The extort, of course, also tagged on definitely helps. Shadow Alley Denizen, nope, nope, nope. Slow Screecher, read that guy. The High Priest, our Guild Mage, Extort Defenders, Extort Flyers, the Vigilance Extorter, Extort Rogue, 4 mana, the Smog Elemental, alright, basic lands, a lot of M13 cards in this one. Card that is technically removal, but not really good removal. The Executioner Swing, Dying Wish, just an interesting enchantment. Our Key Rune, what I consider to be one of the strongest uncommons in the set, the Gift of Orzhov, and more M13 cards. Angelic Edict, some very good removal that is splashable in the Boros. Just white removal, just a reprint of Iona's Judgment with a different name. Purge the Profane, and another 1,000 Lashes, which we just talked about. Alright, let's take a look at some of these cards. Alright, let's see here. Talk about Gift of Orzhov. 3 mana enchantment, +1/+1, lifelink and flying. Lifelink is kind of a big deal, especially in any limited format. That card lets you get past ground guys, makes it harder to block, and definitely gets you back in the game, gains you some more life. Since Orzhov is already about extorting and gaining life off of things, it just fits really well with the niche theme of the deck, but is also very strong for other decks. It's a very powerful card. Dying Wish. Enchanted creature you control. When an enchanted creature you control dies, target player loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the creature's power. It's kind of like a safety bet on a creature you control for 2 mana. It's very interesting. I don't know how I feel about it really, but it definitely has some merit on putting it on a big power creature. I'd be more interested if you had a way to sack it and kill it just to trigger the effect, but just a safety bet of precaution. It's not really the best way to invest your mana. Purge the Profane. 4 mana. Target opponent discards 2 cards from his hand. Hand advantage is always a good thing, and it gains you some life. Since Orzhov's theme is all about gaining life. And remember, if you have extort guys out, you can definitely just pay 1 more mana when you cast these cards to definitely get the extort effect of gaining 1 life and then losing 1 life. Executioner Swing. Target creature that has dealt damage to you this turn gets -5, -5. Definitely is meant to kill something that has hurt you, but I don't like having to wait that long. And I don't like that it says -5, -5, and just not outright killing something. Knight of Obligation. The Vigilance, Extort, 2/4 for 4. Pretty solid card for an uncommon. Has Vigilance, 4 toughness. Somewhat hard to deal with, like because of the toughness, but has Extort. The lower the card's cost and Extort just makes things great, because once you can start casting low things, when you have like 3 Extort guys out, you pay 3 mana, they lose 3 and you gain 3. it starts to add up really fast. A 3-mana 2/2 flyer with extort, really cool in that effect, because again, extort, low mana cost, flyer, 2 power, kind of bland, but has extort, and that's where you want it most in the low cost guys. This is a 1-mana guy who does not have extort, but when you play another black guy, he does give one of your creatures intimidate, which makes it really hard to block and able to push some damage through to make a difference. And here's our guild mage, Viz Koopa. Target creature gains lifelink until the end of turn for 3 mana. For 3 mana, the second ability is whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. It has very interesting applications in the world of Magic. If you have a creature who already has lifelink because you have the gift of Orzhov out, you just dealt that much more damage. There's also an infinite combo with this card with Exquisite Blood, which is pretty interesting because they just double trigger and it's really cool. But the ability to just get that much more out of it when you pay 3 mana, whether you extort or you just lifelink or something, is really cool. High Priest of Penance. A really good card on the surface. Whenever he's dealt damage, you can destroy a non-land permanent. Pretty good. You have him, you want to block with him. You want to hope they swing into him so you can just block, kill something of your choice. Never really good to attack with him because his other hidden effect is 1 mana, 2 mana, 1/1 unblockable because no one would ever block that guy. Let you kill something, so definitely is a blocker creature. But he is low enough cost that you can extort off him. Let's open some packs. Towering Thunderfist, another Screecher, Way of the Thief, Spire Tracer, Fire Shift the Song, Zertos Swine, Mountain, Wrecking Ogre, Mind Eye Drake, Holy Mantle, I want to read that card. Unblockable guy, prevent all damage, +1/+1 counter, equipment, unblockable guy. Alright, let's see here. Seen this, this. Who hasn't seen Mountain? Alright, let's see here. Holy Mantle, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from creatures. Pretty much makes them unblockable. That's really cool. And it gives them the ability to block something and not die and kill things. And it gets +2 power, toughness. For 4 mana, it's an interesting card. Spire Tracer. 1/1 for green. It says it can only be blocked by creatures with flying or reach. I remember losing that card in the pre-release. He's really good, and if you have a way to pump him, or move +1/+1 counters to him or something, he can get really powerful and really scary fast for a common. Mind Eye Drake. When Mind Eye Drake dies, target player puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. 5 mana for a 5 mill card for a 2/5. Definitely a blocker, slow creature. Once you work with the Dimir theme of slowing them down enough that you can mill them out. Riot Gear. Artifact and equipment. 2 mana, equip 2, +1/+2. Typical artifact, not that great. Our rare is Wrecking Ogre, which is a 5 mana, 3/3 double strike guy who has Blood Rush. Blood Rush is the Gruul keyword, which we'll do next, so we can talk about it more. Should you discard the guy for 4? I can't tell upside down. Nope, 5 mana. 5 mana gives target creature +3/+3 and double strike, which can really do a lot of damage. Keymaster Rogue is unblockable, and when he enters the battlefield, you return a creature you control to your hand for a 3/2 for 4. Lets you get more wind plate effects. Pretty interesting. Zertos Swine is pretty common, so I think we'll probably see it in that Gruul deck, so we'll talk about it then. Alright, on to Gruul. Just have Dimir left after this. Green. I forgot my other pack, so we have 3 packs this time. Alright, Rubble Hulk. The big rare of our deck. Rubble Hulk is a really good card. 6 mana, power and toughness equal to the number of lands you have, and Blood Rush for 3. That gives creature plus X, which is equal to the number of lands you have. Really strong card. I wouldn't want a Blood Rush unless I was going to kill someone with that card because he's just really powerful. Alright, let's go into our cards here. Foundry Street Denizen, Skinbrand Goblin, Disciple of the Old Ways, our Guildmage, Slaughterhorn, Shanktail, Charger, Gruul Clan Rampager, the Swine that I just predicted would be in here, Crypt Scale Predator, Ruination Worm, which we saw, Gruul Rage Beast, the Guildgate, lands, Alpha Authority, which is a really, really good card, Pit Fight, 2 Ground Assaults, 2 Gruul Key Runes, Predator's Report, Burden Hayden, Ranger's Path's not there. Okay, let's see here. Got a lot of guys to talk about this time. Let's look at the Guildmage. Scar Guildmage. Creatures you control gain trample until the end of turn for 2 mana. 2 mana, 2/2. And for 3, target land you control becomes a 4/4 elemental creature until the end of turn, but it's still a land. It's a very powerful Guildmage. Gruul is definitely about being very aggressive and getting some damage through having big guys, and that really does help with that. Burden Hayden. Enchant land. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. When enchanted land is tapped for mana, you add another mana of your choice to the mana pool. 3 mana, kind of slow for a ramp spell, but considering if this is just like on by itself in here, it's really cool. Doesn't really stick with the Gruul motif by gaining life, but it doesn't mean it doesn't help. Another card that gains some life in Gruul is choose a target creature you control. You gain life equal to that creature's power plus its toughness. Gruul, that means a lot. You could have a really big guy and he just gains you a lot of life and gets you right back in the game at instant speed. Foundry Street Denizen. Whenever another red creature you control enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+0 to the end of turn for a 1 mana. Starts us off as a 1/1, play a bunch of guys 1 turn, he's big. Skinbrand Goblin, Blood Rush for 1. It's a 2 mana, 2/1, but has the ability to pump +2/+1 for 1 mana. Really good red trick. 4 Clan Rampager are uncommon. 4/4 for 4, trample. Blood Rush for 2. Gives target creature +4/+4 and trample in the end of turn. It's a really powerful guy, and the Blood Rush effect on him is really stellar. The Swine. Blood Rush for 3. 5 mana, 5/4. Blood Rush and giving the guy +5/+4 for 3 mana. Pretty good for a common. Slaughterhorn. Another 3 mana, 3/2. Blood Rush for 1, giving +3/+2. Gruul keeps it nice and simple. Big, strong. Ground Assault. Sorcery speed, 2 mana at cost. Deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. That's really good removal. That's very good removal for this deck. Since red and green, red is all about dealing damage and green is all about having lands and big creatures. So that card meshes well with what the original plans are. Our Key Rune comes a 3/2 red and green beast artifact creature with trample until the end of turn for 2. It's alright. It's alright. Definitely Blood Rush onto it, get some trample damage out there, and hurt someone pretty fast with it. Ripscale Predator can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. 6 mana, 6/5. Says it's going to end the game, because that guy is really hard to deal with. Hit Fight, another good removal spell. Says target creature you control fights another creature on the battlefield for a 1 in red or green. Very splashable card into Boros or anything else. Definitely a good card. You got to watch out though for what they have, because if they have pumps and or lifelink, they could do things to you that you wouldn't like. 4 mana, 2 mana cost Blood Rush, 2/4, Blood Rush 2/4. Guys, Alpha Authority. Here's a card. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has hexproof and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. That just gives your guy hexproof, and it means it's really hard to kill one of your guys, because they can't double block one of your big dudes, and it just means they have to like chump block it. And if you have trample on that guy already, you're going to hit them for a lot. Definitely is worth the 2 mana. 4 mana, 3/1 first strike guy. Blood Rush for 3, giving +3/+1 in first strike. The Rage Beast is our rare. Alright, took us so long to get there. Whenever Gruul Rage Beast or another creature you control enters the battlefield under your control, that creature fights a target creature opponent controls. That guy's really good because he lets you just start fighting things on the field, and again, giving you some board advantage. This deck is the Gruul deck and the Gruul theme in general is being aggressive and dominant, so it's all about the fighting here, as you see with all the fighting target creatures everywhere you can see it. Definitely sticks well to that. Disciple of the Old Ways. 2 mana, 2/2. We're already on par here. And you discard a card from your hand. No, that's not that one. No, this is the one that just pays 1 red. It means first strike at the end of turn. Really good card. Really hard to deal with, because a lot of things in this set seem to have 2 toughness on the lower drop end of the spectrum. Another one of those, and these cards we've already seen again. So let's go into some packs. 3 of them this time, hopefully. Blind Obedience, a very good rare. Gift to Orzhov, Gridlock. Let you all look at that and talk about it. Powerflesh, Paranoid Delusions, Assault Griffin, Skyblinder Stuff, Last Thoughts, a Gruul Guildgate again, and that's about it here. Blind Obedience. One of the best cards in this set, hands down. 2 mana enchantment, has Extort. It says artifacts and creatures the opponent controls enter the battlefield tapped. It turns off haste, turns off blocking turn creature comes into play, and it lets you start extorting things. A really, really powerful enchantment. Can't say more than that. It's really powerful. Last Thoughts. 4 mana, draw a card. Has the Cipher effect, which is what Dimir's keyword is. Once you have the ability to turn something into Ophidian, where it means dealing damage and you'll be drawing a card. And Skybinder Staff. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked by creatures with flying. That's kind of cool. 1 mana, 3 equip, +1, and unblockable with flying. Better equipment, at least. Gridlock, instant speed, blue and X. Tap target X non-land permanents. That'll be really good on their turn. Just tap them out, and then next turn you have your free reign. It's blue. Devour Flesh, one of the better removal cards in the set. Target opponent sacrifices a creature, and you gain life, and they gain life equal to its toughness for 2 mana. Gets around hexproof cards, which is really good. Paranoid Delusions. Target player puts the top 3 cards of his discard pile or deck into the discard pile. His Cipher effect helps you mill them, which is what you want to do in that deck. And last but not least, we have a nice Griffin, who's a 3/2 flyer for 4. Just really strong and has flying for 4 mana. Really good guy. Next pack. Maybe we'll see a mythic in one of these packs. That'd be really cool. Got another foil. Scorchwalker, Skyjack, Martial Glory, which is a really powerful card. The Tiger, Armor Corpse, Court Street Denizen, Wildwood Rebirth. This is a really good card. Dimir Guildgate, which we haven't seen yet. Prophetic Prism, the Blue-Green Guildmage we've seen, Hinder Vines, Undercity Informant, our rare is Whispering Madness, and the Orzhov Keyrune. I think I saw Orzhov Keyrune in that deck, which is weird. So we'll talk about Orzhov Keyrune first. It seems to be the one missing. Orzhov Keyrune. For 2 mana, it becomes a 1/4 creature with lifelink. Just a blocker, basically, that gets you some lifelink. Again, it's all about keeping you in the game so that you can grind them out with your ability. Prophetic Prism. A reprint, but with much better art this time. 2 mana, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. It lets you just filter a mana to a different color, so it helps mana fixing in the set when you're drafting. Really good card. Undercity Informant, another really good mill card. It lets you sacrifice a creature and your opponent mills cards from the top of their deck if they reveal a land card. For 3 mana for a 2/3, it's pretty good. You can always sacrifice the little 1/1s you're making with your Cypher effects. Whispering Madness, another really powerful mill card. Each player discards his or her hand and draws cards equal to the number of cards discarded this way, but it has Cypher. So you can put this on a guy, and you can make them discard their hand and just constantly keep drawing new cards, which lets them filter their deck pretty fast. It's a really cool card. Wildwood Rebirth, which is a really cool card with the Gruul deck. It lets you return target creature from your discard pile to your hand, which then lets you do another Blood Rush effect if you want. Or just get a creature you've already lost to come back at instant speed for 2 mana. There's a lot of roundabout way to it, but it's very tricky. It's a very cool card. The Tiger is a nice 4 mana 2/3, and it lets you tap and gain 2 life. Like, pretty much an Orzhov card, because it lets you just gain life and stay in the game, gives you a blocker. That. The Boros Pump spell, which is +3, and then another creature gets +0 and +3. You can choose one creature if you want. If you do, it just gets +3/+3 for 2 mana. Just really nice pump spell. 4 mana 5/1, Blood Rush for 3, double red on it. Lets you get +5/+1 to target creature. Really strong card, lets you do 5 damage if you just have an unblocked creature. Or the 1 toughness can even help too, if it's just like an even block. Really good card. Or if nothing else, he's also a creature. Alright, our third pack. What? The last one we forgot from last time. Let's see what we got. Ooh, another foil. We got a lot of foils in here. No, it's a swamp. Alright, let's see here. Scatter Arc. Pretty good card. Structural Collapse, Paranoid Delusion, Swine, the Slate Street Ruffian, Ember Beast, the Guildgate we've seen, another Wildwood Rebirth, Counter Street Denizen, Boros Guildmage, Alpha Authority, Urban Evolution, and Signal the Clans. Only 3 new cards this time. Scatter Arc. Counter target non-creature spell and draw a card. This card meant for limited. It's really cool. Counters a spell, gets you another card, go on playing and drawing. Structural Collapse. Target player sacrifices an artifact and a land. Structural Collapse deals 2 damage to that player. For 6 mana, I don't like that card. That's an interesting effect, that's just pretty late, and I don't want to do that at 6 mana. I'd rather play a huge creature. And our rare is Signal the Clans. Search your library for 3 creature cards and reveal them. If you reveal 3 cards with different names, choose one of them at random and put it in your hand. Shuffle the rest into your library. Oh. On to Dimir. Black. Alright. Our rare is Simic Aberration, which is a very powerful card. I learned at the pre-release, watching people play with it. So this will be the center of our deck. Simic Aberration. Simic Aberration's power and toughness is equal to the number of cards in the opponent's discard pile. As I already talked about how Dimir has all the other little removal spells and all the other mill cards, if you start milling cards off the top of their deck, this guy gets bigger and bigger. Pretty soon you have a guy out who's got over 10 power. It's just there, 10 power, 10 toughness, and just keeps getting bigger every turn. Alright, let's look at our other cards we have to work with him. Incursion Specialist, Scouter Skulk, White of Precinct 6, this guy's really cool. Here's our Guild Mage, Sage's Road Denizen, Strider, Death Cult Rogue we've already seen, the Lustrous Spy, Mind Eye Drake, Dinrova Horror, the Guild Gate we just looked at. That's Approach, which is a really good removal card for this theme and limited. Paranoid Delusions. The Key Rune, which is a 2/2 black and blue unblockable creature. Very good. Last Thoughts. Midnight Recovery, Grisly Spectacle. Whispering Madness is our other rare here, which we already just talked about, so here. Totally Lost. Shadow Slice and Coerced Confession. Let's see here. Alright, let's see here. 2 mana, 2/2, Black Rat. Here is a mill and removal spell, which is really good. Instant speed, Grisly Spectacle. Destroy target non-artifact creature. Its controller puts a number of cards from the top of their deck into their library or their discard pile, which is equal to the power of that creature. That card just feeds into your aberration. Midnight Recovery. 4 mana, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Has Cipher. It's an interesting Cipher ability on that one. It's not really that useful more than once or twice, but it definitely lets you get a creature that you lost that you want back. Dustmantle Guildmage we talked about already. He's really good with this. That's Approach. Common. Enchantment. Enchant creature. Target creature gets -X, -X, where X is equal to the number of cards in that person's graveyard. Really powerful card, removing creatures for 1 mana. But you should already be milling them, and after a while they'll always kill anything. Dinrova Horror, 6 mana, 4/4, common. When he enters the battlefield, return target permanent to its owner's hand and that player discards a card. It's really good if you return an opponent's permanent. Really good. Mind Eye Drake we talked about, milling 5 when it dies. Sage Rose Denizen. Whenever another blue creature you control enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. It's really powerful with this deck. Play any blue creature, they mill 2, aberration gets bigger. Oh, this card's cool. Shadow Slice. 5 mana, target player loses 3 life. Cipher. If you can put that on a guy and you can Cipher with that, then they'll just start losing 3 life every time you attack and deal damage to them, in addition to any other damage dealt. That'll end the game in a hurry. It's pretty powerful. Coerced Confession, 5 mana sorcery. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library in their discard pile, and you draw a card for each creature milled this way. That's a really good card. 4 cards and the ability to draw some cards. Sometimes it'll miss, but sometimes it won't, and you'll hit really big. Mortis Strider, 3 mana 1/1. When it dies, return it to your hand. Just a good blocker. Keeps returning it to your hand. The Spy card, flying, 4 mana 2/3. When the Spy enters the battlefield, target player reveals cards on top of his or her library. So he or she reveals a land card and then puts those cards in the graveyard. Okay, it's really good. Just enter the battlefield, mill effect. Incursion Specialist. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, Incursion Specialist gets +2/+0 until the end of turn and is unblockable. White of Precinct 6. 2 mana 1/1. However, he gets +1/+1 for each creature in your opponent's graveyard. Late game, that guy comes out huge. Really powerful card for this deck. Let's look at our packs now. These are the last 2 packs we have here, it looks like, so let's hope they're great. Alright. Devour Flesh we know about, Predator's Report, Scorchwalker, Fandom, 3/1 Trample Flyer, Psychic Strike, new card, Furious Resistance, Riot Gear, Ivy Lane Denizen, Clinging Amoebas, Boros Charm. That's the first charm we've seen, and that one's a very good one. Skullcrack, very good common, and Molten Primordial. Let's talk about Boros Charm. This charm does it all. Deals 4 damage to target player. If they have a Planeswalker out, you can redirect that damage and probably kill almost any Planeswalker, depending on what they're at, unless it's been there for a while. The other modes are give a creature you control double strike, or creatures you control are indestructible. All for 2 mana. This charm is nuts. This is very good and constructed. Very constructed playable. Our rare is Molten Primordial, which says for each opponent, when he enters the battlefield, you choose one of their creatures and untap it and gain control of it, and gains haste, and you get to swing out with one of their guys. 7 mana, 6/4 with haste. He definitely lays the hurt when he's casted. Here's another one of the best uncommons in this set, the Skullcrack. Instant speed, players can't gain life this turn, does 3 damage to target player. If they have the cards in their deck that gain life, even if it's like an Orzhov deck or something, you just Skullcrack them in response, and they will not gain the life, and they'll take 3 damage instead and prevent them from gaining life for the rest of the turn. Really, really good card for constructed right now. Our last card is Psychic Strike. Counter target spell. Its controller puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Counter spell, mill some cards. Seems good. And our last pack is no mythic. Contaminated Ground, Greenside Watcher, Holy the Thief, 10th Street Market, Zeratoth Swine, Mugging, Riot Gear, Ivy Lane Denizen, Clinging Amoebas, Horror of the Dim, Coerced Confession, Tower Defense, Boros Elite, and our rare is Gruul Rage Beast, which we saw already, which is unfortunate. Here, I didn't talk about the amoebas, because it's not really that interesting, but we'll talk about him here just so we have some stuff to talk about. Horror of the Dim. 5 mana, 3/4, and for blue, he gains hexproof until the end of turn. It's pretty evasive creature. Not the best, but what can you expect for a common? He's pretty good for that. And our other interesting card here is Clinging Amoebas. Defender, Evolve. Can always block. 4 mana, 1/4, gets bigger every time you play creatures with more power than him. Really cool. Our really cool cards in the pack are Boros Elite, Gruul Rage Beast, Confession, Mugging, and that's it. Boros Elite is really cool. So that pretty much sums it up for this intro deck. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Got to see all the good intro packs and got to see some of the cards. Hope you guys liked it. Over here at HappyVikingGames. I'm Max. Have a great day.
You're natural.